Today we're repairing concrete that was damaged by aggressive tree roots. In this case, the trees were removed because they were sick, but you can just do root pruning and patch the concrete. We're going to show you how to do that today. We're back at Eileen's xeriscape garden, where we took out a bunch of tall fescue turf and are replacing it with more water-efficient options. I'm John Valentino, a landscape architect, and I'm a landscape contractor. I'm here with Chip Valentino, who assists on all our projects. If you want to see the transformation of this xeriscape garden, you can click the link here. A good feature of concrete that you're going to repair is if it has score joints, because score joints make an excellent place to saw cut and remove without having to do huge areas. So we identified in this case the area that was being lifted by tree roots and then the closest joints to that damaged area. And we just used the saw cutter, cut those, and then remove the concrete just in that section, allowing us to do a fairly minor repair. If you didn't have those joints, you'd have to take out a lot more concrete. Taking out concrete is not easy. It's hard work. But we want to minimize the amount of concrete we take out and minimize the amount that we have to put back in. So we just cut right at the scored joints. Once the saw cutting is complete, you can take out the concrete by breaking it into small pieces. It's extremely heavy, so you can't just lift it out unless you have equipment. Usually we would use a jackhammer to break it up. Even a jackhammer on a piece of equipment can break it up, but a small little repair like this, you can just use a big sledgehammer and break it up, and then concrete can be recycled, so we take it to a place where they recycle it and they make base rock and other products out of it. After it's out, then we put in the forms so that we can pour the concrete, and we grade it. A level grade is important because you want the concrete to cure evenly, and if it's not flat and level, it won't cure evenly. In this case, we used a little bit of base rock in the bottom. You can use sand or you can use base rock, or in moderate climates like the middle of California, you could use nothing, and that is unheard of in more harsher climates, but in California, many jobs are done without a base. But in this case, we used some base rock. The grade of the forms is important so that the grade of the concrete matches the concrete we're trying to match. In this case, it's relatively straightforward because we just put the forms in level to the top of the concrete that we're abutting to. In longer pieces of concrete, you need to figure a grade and figure a slope. In this case, it's all figured for us because the concrete is already in. So this is such a small job. Normally on a good regular sized job, we order it from a cement truck, which carries 9 cubic yards or so. This is less than a cubic yard, and so it's not economical to order it from a cement truck. So we just bought it in cement bags. The other issue that really came into play here is the concrete doesn't cure very fast, and you need it to cure so that you can finish it. So normally you'd want to pour it early in the morning so you have time to let it dry and finish it properly. Just because of scheduling, we poured it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So what we did was we bought the concrete in the bags that has calcium in it, and the calcium causes the concrete to set up faster. Those are good on cloudy, overcast days, cold days, because then if you don't do that, you're waiting there for it to get the proper moisture level for you to finish the concrete. In this case, we were able to buy 50-pound bags with the calcium in it. We poured it about 3 o'clock. By 4:30, it's already to a point where we can finish it. First, they take it out of the bags, mix it with the right amount of water, and just mix it together with a shovel. Then we put it in the formed area. After we have quite a bit in there, we use the Screed over the top of the forms and allow it to start to dry. With that calcium in it, things are going to move fast, which we need because by 5 it's going to be dark. The screeding is important to get the concrete at just the right level and to get it compacted and to get it smooth. That process, we kind of tamp down the concrete, screed it off, and get just the right amount of concrete so that the whole thing matches the grade of the forms. So that's the whole purpose of the screed. We're matching the grade of the forms. So we want that concrete to be firm right against the bottom of the screed, and then we use that to screed it off. Then when it's right, which takes a little bit of time, in this case not so much time because we had the calcium in there, then we start using tools to put the joints in. And obviously we want the joints to match with the existing joints, so in this case it's pretty simple to determine where they go. Did you hear her say hi? A little girl in the back seat said hi and waved.
She recognizes you.
That's it. Or maybe Chip.
That's what
She's probably waving to Chip. So it's best not to have to repair concrete, and in this case, to not have to repair it, we would have had to avoid the damage that was created by tree roots. One way is with root barriers. The root barriers will direct the root down. The other way is the quality of the soil. If you have soil that's well aerated, fertile, and lends itself to penetration of air and water, then you're going to have much less of a problem with tree roots. And obviously that's what we use our products for, is to create an environment where tree roots aren't only on the surface but root deeply and spread out in a way that anchors the tree in a strong way and doesn't do damage to surface around it. So those are the two things I'd recommend to try to avoid this situation, is use root barriers and use something like our blend. These weren't the greatest conditions for finishing concrete. We poured it very late in the day and it kind of stayed wet. So the joints didn't match up that well with the score joints that are existing. So what we did is we used a grinder. You can get a grinder that just fits onto any portable grinder. This was an electric grinder. You just run that grinder across the joints and it cleans them up and makes them look exactly like they're supposed to. This was the following day after it had set up, and that is an option for when you run into these difficult situations where, for one reason or another, the finish of the joint isn't exactly what you want. The grinder really comes in handy and makes a nice finish. So have you ever poured and repaired concrete yourself? Or would you consider doing it, or do you think automatically, concrete, we hire somebody? Let us know in the comments and you could win a free bag of blend. Last week we showed you how to remove turf or sod with a turf or sod cutter. We asked you, we're removing turf here, and maybe you've had some experience of trying to get rid of turf or other plants with difficulty or maybe with ease. Tell us about your experience in getting rid of plants or lawn. Our favorite answer and the winner of a free bag of blend is there's Henry. Chip, it's Henry. And you might remember Paul too.